Brothers Prakashan has been conducting seminars, workshops, and webinars for principals, teachers, educationists, students, and parents on various educational and non-educational topics like change in syllabus, exam pattern, career guidance, parenting, pedagogy, coding classes, usage of technology, cyber security, general awareness program, and many more. We have conducted many hundreds of webinars with about 1 million participants in the last 3 years. The technology arm of Goyal Brothers Prakashan. Bright Tutee provides online digital learning content for the K-12 level in a variety of languages for more than 20 educational boards in all of the major subjects.
With this, I welcome our subject matter expert today, author, editor, teacher, having so much of experience, Ms. Alka Mahajan. We welcome you, ma'am, and the platform is all yours now. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And do I begin? All right. Thank you. So everyone, a mesmerizing Monday evening to all of you. And they always say that talk of exams make us a little bit serious. Well, I don't know why they should make us serious. It's just like any other challenge of life. But for everyone who has joined today, the teachers, the students, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining in. And thank you so much to Goyal Brothers Prakashan for this wonderful opportunity where we can actually share, some kind of things, some kind of tips about the coming examinations, especially when it comes to English, so that we know that we're on the right track and it gives us super duper confidence. Well, the other day, I saw a student of mine and the student was, flipping a coin, and he was flipping it in the air. And I just asked him why he was doing what he was doing. And he told me, see, I'm flipping the coin because I need an answer. If I get head, it means that, I need to take rest. If tail comes, it means that I need to watch a movie. And if the coin stands on the edge, then I will study. Now, my dear boys and girls and everyone who's joined, a good study pattern is actually a mix of everything. There needs to be a little rest, there needs to be study time, there needs to be some leisure and play time. So it has to be a judicious blending of all these things together. So let me share my screen. I do know that all of you are very aware of your syllabus, but while going through that, I will be talking about some tips, some tricks. Basically, I would say, some kind of practices that you could use to easily and effectively cross 95% and above in your English exams. And by the way, we still have some time. I mean, it's sometime in, so I'm sure that will give you enough time to practice. So I'm going to share my screen. Are you able to see my screen? Can someone tell me? I think you're able to.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Felix.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah,
okay.
Felix, yes.
Okay, got it right. All right. So basically, we're going to be talking about, we know the changes, but we're going to be talking about how to actually, what kind of practices will help us in actually writing our exam effectively. And the ultimate purpose of understanding with scoring a good that we are here for. So, which all of you know, just give you a quick brush through, discussing the types of questions, the format, and the finer details. And how do we prepare for the upcoming second 2022? Now, as per the bifurcated syllabus, the second semester has 3 sections: reading, writing and grammar, and literature. It's only writing, it's not writing and grammar, by the way. Then We all know the CBSE has split the syllabus into half for the academic year. We all know that. And I can see Felix spelling. Reading is 14 marks. Writing is 8 marks. Literature is 18, which makes it 40. Add to that your internal assessment of 10 marks, and total of 50 marks. Okay, so the second term specimen paper time allowed is 2 hours. Maximum marks the word limit. That is very important. So you just don't keep on writing. For the sake of writing, you have to be specific. Now let's come to our first section, section A, which is reading. And this happens to be 14 marks. So here you get questions based on your word attack, which is based on vocabulary, your analysis, your interpretation. And you will have 2 passages, okay? The first passage will be a discursive, factual, or a descriptive passage. And here you will have an option, after the passage, you will have questions. You will be having 9 questions. Each question carries 1 mark. And this passage would be roughly around 450 words. So just bear that in mind. Passage 2 would be a case-based factual passage. It's the same technique over here. You'll have to read the passage. After reading the passage, you will have to attempt the questions given. But in this case, you will have 7 questions, out of which you do only 6. And each question carries 1 mark. Now, let me tell you some important things that we need to keep in mind, especially while attempting the comprehension section. The first important thing is that we need to read the passage well, because you must have heard of this quote that, good readers become good thinkers. So reading is important. Don't just let it go. Don't just read the question and try to hunt for the answer throughout the passage. A good idea is that read the questions first and then read the passage, so that when you attempt your questions in your mind, because I'm sure you'll have a kind of a mind map, you'll have that, you will be able to go exactly where you remembered a particular word appearing. You will go to that portion and you will be able to get the answer from there. Now, what is important to note over here is the good thing first that, spelling mistakes, punctuation, all this will not, if there are some goof ups here, some mistakes over in spellings or punctuation or tenses, there will be no deductions in marks. But yes, if you lift the answers as it is from the passage, that's a very, it's a tendency, that's a habit. It becomes, you just want to lift the answer and write that answer in the space provided for your answers. But my dear boys and girls, don't do that. Don't lift the answers, but try to write them in your own words. And it has to be as per the question asked. So don't just write anything. You need to be answering the question that is asked. That is very important. And you have to look for evidence from the passage. Don't just lift it from anywhere and write it down. That is a complete no-no. No lifting up answers, but writing them in your own words. And again, I told you the good news is no deductions for errors in spelling, grammar, or punctuation. And yes, marks will be awarded only if answer reveals formation of a response to the question. Please keep that in mind. So this was another thing is, please do read the passage well. And when you read again from the questions. Read the questions first and then read the passage. It will make it much, much easier for you to attempt all the questions that are appearing in this section. And believe me, they're very simple. Nothing very difficult. You will find the answers in the passage themselves. Now coming to the next one, which is pattern of the specimen paper for section B. Now section B is your creative writing skills, and this will be for 8 marks. So question number 3 will be a short writing task, which would be based on your formal and informal invitation cards and your replies to. Now, what is important over here, that this would be for 3 marks. And when you will be marked, the marking scheme for the creative writing, short writing task is 3 marks. And the breakup is 2 marks for your content plus 1 mark for your expression and your accuracy. Now, what is the content? The content here would be that all points included should be well developed with sustained clarity. All right. And you have to be writing it as per whatever matter is given. So perhaps you have to write, have a reference to the invitation, whether it is an acceptance, you have to write about the date, time, and venue. You have to comment on perhaps extending assistance of any sort. So basically that. Now, expression, for the expression, full credit will be given to you if you use the proper functional language, if proper vocabulary is used and your format is correct. And half mark is for your accuracy, which means your spelling errors, your grammatical, your grammar, your punctuation. Please make sure to practice that. Now, how do you practice invitation writing? You know, the more you practice, girls and boys, the better you get at it. It's just like mathematics. You know, you get full marks if you just follow the simple techniques. It's not at all difficult. You just need to do a lot of practice and at the same time, a lot of writing, and have a notebook ready. And, you know, always for these things, a specimen, a sample book will always come in handy, because you can take out the questions from the sample book. There would be solved as well as unsolved. So Goel Brothers Prakashan have this wonderful book. And, you know, there are solved exercises over there as well as unsolved. So you can do the solved first and then match your answers with the answers given, and then you can attempt the unsolved ones. So that gives you a head-on start, a good start. For the long writing task, which is a 5 mark, question, which is question number 4. Here you will have a choice. You know, you get a choice over here. So either you do a letter of application for a job, or you do report writing. So it depends on you. Now, what is important over here would be that you need to be very well-versed with the formats. So whether it's a format for report writing, whether it's a format for the long writing, a letter of application for a job. So you don't just write the cover letter, you also have to attach as an enclosure your resume with the main details given. You know, that is very important. And of course, you have to keep in mind the entire, the covering letter, the reference to the ad, then every conveying suitability for the position, position applied for, submission of the application, then the resume, then the profile, educational qualifications, and any other relevant, information. Now, this letter writing, if you're attempting letter writing, then this is the breakup for, in fact, the breakup for both would be 2 plus 2 plus 1. So 2 marks for the content and 2 marks for your expression, 1 mark for your accuracy. So again, when I talk about content, you have to have everything in place. You need to have the main points in place. So whatever it is that you're trying to convey has to be written with clarity and precision, following a suitable format, good vocabulary, formal vocabulary used. And then finally, of course, be very careful about, punctuation, grammatical errors, and your spelling. So once you keep all these things in mind, you have a perfect letter, and you have to have the attachments and everything in place. So remember, it's an effective style. The ideas need to be conveyed very convincingly. Then you have to follow the appropriate layout. And the same thing happens in the case of a report writing. You have to follow the appropriate format. And again, over there, it is for 120 to 150 words. Please do not exceed the word limit. And also, if we exceed the word limit, we also it upsets our time management plan. So we need to give specific time to all the different questions. So if there are 6 questions, we need to give time to each. Now, this will be depending on individual choices. And for this, you will need to time yourself for each question. So if it's report writing, time yourself, how long do you take to write a report? And try to better yourself each day. So over here again, it is practice, and practice by writing. Always remember that there are no other shortcuts. The important thing over here to keep in mind is to adhere to the word limit, adhere to the time that you have set in your mind, and follow the format. Make sure that you have all the points in place with the evidence. Don't just write out of context. It's very important to stick to whatever has been asked for. So you will have something to refer to. So based on that information given, the data, the table given as a reference, please refer to it and then write out your long writing task. So that is very important. And yes, try to write effective vocabulary, good functional English, because that is what is going to get you marks. So you don't need to write ostentatious language, very flamboyant. No, not at all. You need to follow just functional language. I agree. I would like to invite you. So just remember these small, however, therefore, I would, to just remember the simple things while writing out your short as well as your long writing tasks. So this is important. Now when we come to section C. Section C, which is your literature, this would be 18 marks. Now over here, you will have questions based on extracts, text to assess interpretation, inference, extrapolation beyond and across the text. Now from your book, main book, Flamingo, you just have 2 chapters. You remember life is a rat trap. So there are lots of challenges and there are lots of temptations that will come your way, but you have to stick to your principles. You have to stick to your goals. You are not to deviate and you need to remain focused. You just have 2 chapters from this, the rat trap and indigo. All right. So you need to read them well. You need to master the characters, the author's name, the name of the chapter very well, important words and key phrases, like for example, life is a rat trap. And how many times has the author used the word life is use the phrase, life is a rat trap. And on what instances, for example, he used it time and again. So for this, my dear boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it's very, very mandatory that you read the text. And just 2 chapters, it's not at all order at all. 2 chapters is cakewalk. You can easily read 2 chapters. And in fact, you should give them 2 or 3 readings. You have enough time, better late than never. I know, English is one subject that in the long run gives you maximum investment, but somehow it is sidelined and it is left for the last moment. So now I would still say it's better late than never. If we still haven't read the chapters, it's good time to start reading the chapters now. And believe me, it will not take too much of time. And what you will get out of reading that, you will get better understanding. You will know who the various characters are. And you can always have, and while doing your chapters, literature, do have a small notebook with you handy. Write the name of the chapter. After you read the chapter, write the name of the chapter. Write the name of the characters, write the names of the key words, the key phrases that appear in the chapter, write the theme of the chapter, and anything important that you remember, write it down. Why? Because that becomes your note for future, especially a day before the exam or 2 days before the exam, when you just need to glance through, to just remember and reiterate all your learning. It's always about, remember, it's always about revision. The more you revise, the better you get. R-E-V-I-S-I-O-N, this word. I know that you must have heard this word a million zillion times, boys and girls, but however, this is the word, and this will help you crack the exam and come out with flying colors. I am using a very cliched phrase, which has been used since times immemorial and it's still being used today, flying colors. But yes, this is the key. You have to write, you have to practice, you have to revise, you have to keep this in mind. And then you have only 2 poems. And one is John Keats' A Thing of Beauty is a Joy Forever. And one is Aunt Jennifer's Tigers, which is so much in context of our environment. But of course, things are changing, when it comes to the role of women. We just had Women's Day. So when it comes to the role of women is changing in the society. But then you can talk about that while, writing those extrapolation questions. Because these kind of questions you can get from all the 3 parts. So you can get them from poems, you can get them from your flamingo, you can get them from your vistas. When I talk about vistas, you have Should Wizard Hit Mommy, On the Face of It, Evans Tries, and O Level. So total only 7 chapters you have to read. And that, my dear girls and boys, is surely not a tall order at all. And I'm sure you can do it well. I'm sure. So Should Wizard Hit Mommy, On the Face of It, and Evans Tries, and O Level? Read all this very well. And now when you're doing poetry, write the poetic devices that the poet has used. Okay, the name of the poet is important. The imagery used, the repetition used, the various similes, metaphors, personification, repetition, whatever those various poetic devices, write them down. And remember, if possible, write the place where they came in the poem. It makes it even more easier. So if you're doing a metaphor, you remember, oh yes, metaphor from A Thing of Beauty. And okay, Aunt Jennifer's Tigers, personification, all right, it's over here. So transferred epithet, for example, you know where it is. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is that it is a good idea to write, and revise. First of all, read, then write, then revise whatever you have done, so that if there is anything wrong, you can easily rectify. And this is the time of self-study. The more you read, the more you write, the more you revise, the better you get. So just keep that in mind. Now, pattern of the specimen paper, I'm just going to give you some points, just keep them in mind. For reading, no deductions for errors in spelling. Of course, I've already shared this. No marks to be granted if exact lines are lifted from the passage without evidence of structure or semblance of coherent thought. Reading of the question paper mindfully. Please read it carefully. Don't just read 2 lines and say, oh, yes, I know the answer to this question, and start writing. And once you're already through with the answer, you realize that they're not asking about the theme, but they're asking about the character. And that makes your entire, you lose a lot of time. And we don't want you to lose time. We want you to be focused. We want you to be mindful of what you're doing. And this will come by a lot of reading, a lot of practicing, a lot of revising. I'm repeating these 3 words again and again because these 3 words are the magic words for your success in the English exam. And later on, I'll give you one acronym also, so just hold on. So focus on content, expression, and accuracy, especially when it comes to writing skills and the law and the literature portion. Also adhere to time limits and word limits. So this is very important. Now, how should you work your way through the paper, through the question paper? So now you must during the reading time, make your choices on the topics that you want to write. I told you that you'll be getting lots of choices. Remember, I told you about the choices that you will be getting. So make sure that you go through all the questions during that time, and in your mind, you have an idea that you're going to be attempt these many 8 questions out of the 9, 6 questions, these 6 questions out of the 7 that have been given in question number 2 for the comprehension passage. Then you decide. Of course, question number 3 will be, there'll be no choice, but question number 4, you will have an option of either doing the report or doing the job application. So it depends on you. Whatever you feel more comfortable with, please do that. And it's not that you'll get more marks if you attempt a report, or you'll get more marks if you attempt a job application. You will get good marks if you have a very well-written, concise, clarity, full of clarity, keeping in mind the coherence of thoughts, the sequencing order, good vocabulary usage, formal tone. If you have all these points in place, you will get fantastic marks and you can get full marks even. Remember not to commit any spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes, or grammatical errors. Again, for that, what is the secret for that? The secret for that is practice and practice. Revise and revise. So write while you're writing the answers, writing these formats, just check how long you take. So whether it is a literature question, or it is a grammar question, it's a writing skills question, or a comprehension question. You must keep that in mind. I will, what's also important is create roadmaps in your mind so as to what will be the contents of your answer. So have the keywords in your mind, because that will enable you to start writing and you won't go blank. It's always a good thing. One more, boys and girls, before you begin, take deep breaths, very important. Close your eyes and say that, yes, say a very positive thought to yourself. Yes, I can do this. And I'm going to score extremely well in English board exam, class 12 English score. Yeah, say that to yourself, take deep breaths, then open your eyes and read the question paper mindfully. Decide in your mind what you have to go through, what you're going to be attempting, and have an idea of the words that you will be using. And yes, give yourself some time limit. And of course, again, over here, I would say now this is an individual choice. Some of you may take longer in section A and some of you may take longer in section B, but you have to time yourself. So for every question, attempt it through the sample paper and then answer. And then time yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times at least. And the 5th time will give you the time you take to write an invitation, the time you take to write a report, the time you take to write a job application, the time you take to write your literature questions. And I will tell you the breakup of marks for your literature also. So how do we prepare? So again, like I've been saying, and this is basically a repetition of what I've been saying, that practice makes you perfect. You must be given ample practice. And see, it's not only you have to be given, you yourself should know that you need to practice a lot. And you have to work on your shortcomings with the help of your teachers, your mentors. The more you practice, the more you revise, you will understand that, yes, this is something that is bugging me. This question or this format is really irritating me. I'm getting confused. Or this lesson, I'm not able to understand the theme properly. I'm not able to understand what is it that the character, that the poet or the playwright or the author is trying to say us through the main protagonist. So please check with your teachers then. That is the time when you need, because you know that this is your shortcoming. This is where you're going wrong. Then read newspapers or listen to the news to get an idea, to get a knack for the flow of writing. And also, this is something very, very important, and please do not take it for granted. I am not saying that you should have the most beautiful handwriting on planet Earth, but your handwriting should be such that it should be legible. It should be clear. And, every letter should be written well, and don't give those tangles and, those crosses and cuts. Be very clear as to what you're writing. And again, over here, 2 years, my dear boys and girls, you have not really been writing too much because you have been studying online. And this has sort of, I don't know, maybe you have been practicing. If you have been practicing writing, then very good. But even if you have been practicing a little less, because I know that you're good boys and girls and you know what is going to be good for you and you have been practicing, but still, we still have a lot of time. We still have time, better late than never. Please write and practice the answers. That is very important. Now, these are important tips for your literature section. You will have 2 questions from the literature section. One would be, you will have 6 questions. You will have to do 5, and they will be for 2 marks each. So 2 into 5 is equal to 10. Now, in that, it's going to be 1 plus 1. 1 will be for your content, half mark for your expression, and half mark for your accuracy. That is important, and that is what you need to keep in mind. All right. And also, when you are writing, it should not be more than, the word limit is not more than 30 to 40 words. And if it is a 2-mark question, even if you write 100 words, you will still get only 2 marks. So why write 100 words when you have to write only 40 words and marks you will be getting are only 2? So this is how you need to work on your time, work on your speed, and learn how to write precise answers to these short questions. Do not write the entire story. Do not write a brief summary. That's wrong. Stick to the question. 1 mark for the content you will only get, and the other marks also you will get only if the content that you have written also comes along with evidence. So if you're writing life is a rat trap, why is life a rat trap? You have to say that also, okay? But briefly, very briefly. And of course, you have to have proper functional language usage. Vocabulary needs to be formal. You have to work on your spellings, your grammar, and you have to remember to stick to the word limit. This is important if you want to get marks. Even if you write long answers, boys and girls, your marks will not be deducted. Over here, let me tell you this. This is something different from section A. Your marks will not be deducted. But the point is, you will be wasting your time. It will hamper your time. So just keep that in mind. This is important. Now, what's another thing you need to know? Like I told you earlier also, the name of the author, the poet, and the dramatist is very important. You have to read the given extract very, very carefully. So don't just go by the first line and start answering the question. Read the extract carefully. Again, I'm repeating, good readers make good thinkers. And that's what you need to think. You need to think wisely. You need to think judiciously. And then mind map, keywords, key concepts, names of the speakers, the characters, recall the theme of the poem, of the prose, of the play. And not only this, your second question would be for 8 marks. Okay, I'm sorry, 4 marks. 4 marks each, because you will get 2 questions. You will have to do 2 questions out of the 3 given. So you will have a choice. In fact, in your literature, you will have a choice. Question number 5, you will have 6 questions. You will have to do 5, which are for 2 marks each. And question number 6, you will have 3 questions, which are long answer questions. You will have to do only 2. These long questions will be for 4 marks each. So 4 into 2 is equal to 8 marks, a total of 8 marks. Now over here also, the word limit that you have to follow is 120 to 150 words. Don't write more than that. And you know what happens is that there's a temptation. When there is a long answer to be written, you generally tend to write the summary or the entire story of the lesson. Please don't do that. Refrain from doing that. Just stick to the question asked. Stick to the evidence for that question. Okay, so your 2 marks would be for your content, and you will get those 2 marks only if your content is supported or is backed up by evidence. So just remember that. And then, of course, your 2 marks will be for your expression and your accuracy. So keep that in mind. And well, I think that's about it. I'll just go to the last slide, which is a thank you slide. They say that the secret of your success is determined by your hard work and strong focus on your goal. And boys and girls, I would always say that, you know, it is always good. Again, I'm repeating those: perseverance, persistence, and it is all about reading. It's all writing. It's all about revising. More you do that, the better you get. Practice, practice, and practice, because that will definitely make you perfect. And you will learn to write well. You will learn to write within the time limit. What I will do now is I will stop sharing screen. And if you have a question or 2, please go ahead and ask.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
I will request you to write your doubt in the chat box.
Write what? Oh, okay. All right. So if you have any doubts, please write them in the chat box. And from there, let's see if I can read them. Anything that you would like to know or like to understand, please do ask me. Again, I would say that, you know, Lots of good wishes to all of you. Dream deep, aim high, because it's your turn to fly. Be cool, be calm. And oh yes, I forgot to tell you about that secret acronym. I will just share while you're still thinking about your question. So the secret that I wanted to share with you is the acronym PLAN. Now you'll ask me, what does this mean? Okay, PLAN, P-L-A-N. Now this means P over here is for plan. So when you get up in the morning, you say good things to yourself, affirmations, and after that, you plan your study day. So plan out, that I'm going to spend this much time on study, and I'm going to spend this much time on reading, this much time on maybe some exercise, and this much time on whatever activities that you want to do. But of course, have the main focus as your study. L over here would be a place that keeps you away from distractions. So locate a place at home, which is your comfortable zone of study, which is your zone where there are least distractions and where you can study well. Okay, so this is important. P and L, I've told you. Now, what is A? A over here is an activity. So throughout the day, focus on one activity that you would like to do. So I'm not saying, like, you remember that that little thing that I told you about flipping the coin. If it's head, then I'm going to study. I'm going to sleep. If it's tail, then I'm going to watch a movie. And if it is it stands on the edge, then perhaps I will study. But actually, a good student is one who combines all of these things in his or her study day. So that is important, and that is what you need to keep in mind. So A, indulge in some activity, 15-20 minutes, which will rejuvenate you, which will, keep your stress away. So it could be just talking to your, it could be just talking to yourself, good things. It could be talking to your family members. It could be cooking. It could be singing. It could be dancing. It could be going out into the garden. It could be a nature walk. It could be aerobics. It could be dancing salsa, whatever it is. Just indulge in it for 15-20 minutes, come back relaxed, rejuvenated, and then get back to your study. And N, finally the letter N. So we did P, we did L, we did A, and now we're going to do N. So N over here is name a person. Think of the name of a person with whom you would like to connect with throughout the day. One person. So maybe it's your teacher, maybe it's your friend, maybe it's a family member, just 5 to 10 minutes of a light chat. Why I'm saying this is express yourself in order to de-stress. So any kind of stressors that you have regarding your examinations will vanish when you talk to a person whom you're close to, and you just chat. So it's a friendly chat, it's a loving chat, and it will keep the stressors and the blues away. So just remember that. And once again, keep shining, keep sparkling. God bless you. Keep learning, keep growing. Thank you so much, Felix. I think you've been listening very attentively to what I've been saying. What about the others? I hope you've been listening. And even if you've been able to, I know that these are things that perhaps you've been told again and again, but I'm sure that plan was something that has been introduced to you today. So keep that in mind, PLAN. Work on that. That is the way you practice. That is the way you study. And that is the way you crack your English board exam in May. And obviously you will do very well. I'm very sure about that. So good wishes once again. Keep learning and keep growing. Are there any questions? Because I don't see any in the chat.
Excuse me,
I guess
ma'am,
it was so clear. That's why they're not having doubts.
Felix, you want to say something? I think you want to say something. Or Prableen.
Excuse me, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, Prableen. Yes, Prableen.
Ma'am, today only my English teacher told me. I asked her whether the choice would be given in the writing section between the letter and the report writing. Would that be for sure? But she answered that.
Yes. What is the answer?
Ma'am, that it is possible both ways, that the option is between letter and report writing, or both the questions would be report writing and the option would be to do one of them. So I just wanted to clarify.
Prableen, yeah, that part she's right, where she says that maybe both the questions could be a report, or maybe both the questions could be a letter. But if we actually go by what the thing is, I would think that you would get one and you will have a choice. So don't worry about that. But then it's always a good thing since you don't have too much of a syllabus to cover. The course that you have to cover, just how many writing? It's only invitations. It's only a letter, especially a job application, and it is only a report writing. These are the only 3 writing tasks that you have to master. And I'm sure you'll be able to do them well. You'll be able to practice. So even if you get something which is like out of the blue or something which was least, you'll still be able to do it. So yes, that could be there that you get 2 reports. But again, at the same time, I would be thinking that, you're going to teach. And I would still suggest that please go through all the 3 writing formats. It's not difficult at all, very, very simple. And I'm sure you have practiced them. The course, thankfully, the course this time, because it's bifurcated, it's not too lengthy. So you need not worry on that score. So I'm sure you will be able to do this. Please study revise the formats and do it by studying. And of course, you have a sample book with you. If you have a sample book with you, you can practice the solved exercises first and then practice the unsolved. Well, that will give you an edge. Only if you keep on, practicing. Because like I say, the more you practice, the better you get. Yes, are there any other questions?
All
No
right, ma'am.
questions, ma'am.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to appreciate you. Behalf of all the participants, I want to thank you. Really, your class was so informative and lots of things we have um, got from your talk. And really, the session was very wonderful and very informative because I was having lots of doubt regarding writing skills. And now everything is clear out. So in that way, I want to thank you so much. And to that Goyal brothers, to that team also, I want to thank them. Thank you so much for your valid time that you have spent for us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I just hope that I've been able to help you in some sort of some way, even if it's a little bit. I'm sure it's going to go a long way. And just remembering these key points, remember PLAN, P-L-A-N. It will help you to a great extent. Remember to read all the topics. That is very important. Read them, then write them down in your small revision notebook. And that becomes your final glance through notebook a day before the exam. So just keep that in mind, and lots of love to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Boyle brothers. Thank you. And yes, if there is anything, please contact them and they will surely connect you with me. So if there's any problem in any writing task or any literature, prose, poetry section, please get in touch with them and they will let me know. So thank you so much once again.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, all the participants. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.